Here I'm running two direct conversion receivers on 2 meters. On the left hand side you have the IQ Plus, and on the right hand side I have a WSE converter chain. And currently there is no input signal. I'm just looking at the noise floor. The bandwidth is about 2.5 kilohertz. You can see if I click here and center on 144.150 like that for both. The S meter reads, I can press F2 to get an average reading, and also here F2 to get the RMS noise floor, and it differs by half a decibel. That's not much. I now inject a very strong signal like that, and I have to have it in the passband center now here, and this one is already close to centered. The frequency, I haven't worried about calibration. Now, under Windows 10 there are now and then problems with glitches when running two Delta 44 sound cards, so I have to exit and then go back to get the correct readings. And again click on the signal, of course. And you can see both indicate minus 20 dBm. I increased the level by 1 dB, and then both receivers saturate. So they have the same dynamic range if you just look at the noise floor and the single strong signal. I can now put a signal 10 kilohertz away in frequency, this one, and make it strong. Like that. The frequency response is different between the two, so saturation differs by 1 dB, 10 kilohertz lower. Now you can see in the IQ Plus the noise floor is very high on all frequencies, but on the WSE it's different. There is a range where the noise floor is unaffected by the strong signal. You can see if I switch it off and on again. That's because I have a notch filter. You can see the presence of the notch filter on the transient when switching. That you can see also in the IQ Plus. I can tune the frequency of this strong signal. Step it up gradually, and you can see how it becomes weak. Now it's at the center of the notch, and you can see that the level has gone down from minus 20 to minus 75 in both receivers. So the notch is 55 dB deep. Sorry. Now I am 10 kilohertz above the notch. Both sound cards have run into problems. I have to make X and B, and also here X and B, and you can see that the WSE is saturated now, so I had to drop by 1 dB. But it's obvious the noise floor of the IQ Plus we have here, and the noise floor of the WSE you have here. It differs by 6 or 7 decibels. That's the reciprocal mixing from the IQ Plus. That is the limiting factor in the IQ Plus, and it comes about 7 dB earlier than the limitation by saturation. And since there should be a low noise amplifier in front of the unit, it means that the reciprocal mixing isn't really a problem. It's only a problem if you have to run with a very low gain and a modest noise figure of the system. And now go up in frequency. 10 kilohertz. And another 10 kilohertz. Then you can see in both receivers, we can see the notch having some effect. Going up in signal level, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decibels, nothing happens. I add another signal, minus like that. And I want to place it in the passband, so you can see on, off. And I increase the strong signal, which is now outside the visible range. Here something goes wrong in the IQ Plus. But nothing happens in the WSE, and you can see the noise floor is now lifted by reciprocal mixing a little bit more in the IQ Plus. You can see the signal to noise ratio of the weak signal when I switch off and switch on. There is about a 10 decibels difference. But I can increase the signal level now by 10 decibels, and that doesn't affect the WSE. As you can see, the signal to noise ratio is still very close to the same. Maybe not quite. I switch off the very strong signal now, and it makes about 1 decibel. And this is, of course, caused by the filters in the WSE chain. It uses crystal oscillators and filters. I start by doing the mirror image calibration. That is calibrate and A for both receivers. Calibrate and A. And I will do that with 64 segments that I get by pressing plus. And also here plus. And I have to switch off the recording because running video recording while doing calibration gives this problem with glitches. Here is the result of the mirror image calibration, and you can see for the WSE we have curves that vary strongly with frequency, and I change the scale by pressing minus once, twice, and back. I think the magenta is the amplitude and the green is the phase. And in the same scale for the IQ Plus, the correction, the balance is better and the correction is nearly independent of the frequency. So I save this, means press enter and then S. Enter and S. As you can see, the mirror images are now very small. I can step the frequency a bit. And now we can see overtones coming in. And they are about the same level as the mirror images in the IQ Plus, but they are much weaker in the WSE. This is the first screen for the calibration of the frequency response, and it's obvious they are very different. The long tail in the IQ Plus is because of the fairly wide notch at the center, because of the fairly high corner frequency of the high-pass filter used for DC, not to go into the sound card. And in WSE the lowest frequency is in the order of 10 or 20 Hertz, but in the Maya 44 it's 200 Hertz or something like that. But on the WSE you can see oscillations on the pulse. Odd thing. So I press A. That's A. And on the other one, sorry, enter and enter. And now the system will collect pulses for a while, and I switch off and come back when it's finished. After a while I was pressing U to come to this screen, and here you can see the white curve is the desired frequency response, the green is the correction that Linrad has to do on the phase, and the yellow is the correction that has to be done on the amplitude. And I accept this by pressing Y, and the same here. And of course, now the curves look more or less identical because they are very close to the desired curve. I press S to save and S to save here. And then I will look at what happened. X, D, X, D. So here we have the ugly pulses in both cases. I switch on the smart blanker. And it was more or less successful in the two cases, as you can see. I will run the calibration procedure once more. The same thing, but adding a correction onto the correction I already have. And to do that, I will run one unit at a time. So I press X, X here, and then do the calibration on the IQ Plus. X, C, B, enter. And then I will wait for a while and do the same on the other unit and press U and so forth. And I switch off the video recording here to have fewer glitches that could influence the calibration in a bad way. As you can see, the white curve has very steep slopes at the ends. I will make the steepness less sharp, and so I press F, because the ringing associated with very sharp edges lasts for a long time. So this could be a suitable function, and I ask for the same in the WSE, or something very similar at least. This looks about the same. So I press yes to accept and then S to save. And the same here. Yes and S. And let's see what the result is now. X and D. And X and D. And as you see, the noise blanker is running, and the result is reasonably good. I don't know why we have problems in the IQ Plus. Maybe it's the sound card that has glitches. Yes. So the calibration is now pretty good. I can switch off the pulse generator like that, and you can see it doesn't affect the noise floor much. But on the main spectrum you can see we have now about -4 dB, and with the pulsar connected we have maybe 37. So it's about 40 decibels of noise that, if I look here, you can see the S meter coming, and I switch off the noise again. It's 1 dB, or probably a little bit less. So this has been successful.